Well, hello and very good evening to you. Welcome to Virtual Church. A lot of you will be regular listeners, but if you're new today, welcome. You are most welcome indeed. Everybody in the chat, including myself, will do our best to make you feel welcome. We started there with one of the great hymns, Ye Watchers and Ye Holy Ones, or you can go to all sorts of words. Lasst uns Frauen, sorry. A tune by Ralph Vaughan Williams, a wonderful tune, going from harmony into unison, back into harmony before going into unison again. A wonderful combination of the two. So we have a number of hymns today. We've had a number of pre-requests, a number of requested hymns already, and of course we'll have organ music. But there is still chance for you to cast your vote in the live chat, and we will do our best to include them. Please do introduce yourselves. Where in the world are you? Where in the world are you listening from? Quite literally, where in the world? I'm here in the UK. I'm down south in Hampshire. And I'd love to know where you are. I've actually got the chat over on my left, on my other left, my right, over here. Hopefully it won't get in the way, but I can see everyone who's chatting. I can see Nick, I can see Orgelhaz, I can see Caroline, I can see Jerry, Hank, Jane Doe or Cecilia, Martin, Charles, and a few people, Martin, Kelvin, Seth, Daniel and E-Bib. So please do keep chatting. I can just about see you if I glance over there. That was a request from Jay Glenn. So let's go on to our next hymn. Some of you would have noticed that the thumbnail for today's virtual church is of York Minster. Well, that was completely intentional. I hope you didn't think that's where we're going to be in York Minster, but wouldn't that be nice? We are celebrating Francis Jackson, his birthday. Some of you who are not particularly into organ music or live here in the UK might not even know who Francis Jackson is. Well, it's quite simply he's a 104-year-old organist who served for a long time at York Minster and inspired a lot of organists here in the UK. Over in America, for example, you think of people like Virgil Fox and Carlo Curley, just two names spring to mind. Over in this country, Francis Jackson is probably up there in that sort of league of organist. Did a lot for the younger generation like me to inspire and nurture. So he was organist at York Minster for a long time, and he celebrated his 104th birthday yesterday. Hence the concert last night. Speaking of Francis Jackson, this next hymn is by the great man himself. It's called East Acklam. For the fruits of all creation, thanks be to God. For the gifts of every nation, thanks be to God. It's a request from Julian and Ian, both of whom are Patreon, so thank you very much. But actually, I think we would have had this even if nobody had requested it. For three verses of this wonderful tune. I do remember seeing once standing. You might hear one or two anecdotes today of York, but I do remember once standing in the organ loft, turning for I won't say the organist who was playing, but I was turning pages. Francis was in the organ loft, and he was sat directly below the organ console. I peered over, and during the singing of this hymn, it was the final hymn in the evensong, and the organist started playing it. And I looked down, just had a little look at Francis. Francis was conducting himself, or conducting the organ, and I think he was making gestures to slow it down, actually. So I'll bear that in mind, and we won't go at quite the lick that you might expect from me. So, for the fruits of all creation. I do wonder what Francis would have made of that tempo. I think that was quite a good tempo that would have allowed you guys to get your mouth around those words. I can't get my mouth around words at the best of time. Anyway, you know that. So actually it's easier to sing. I don't often get into a bit of a muddle when I'm singing, but talking I do. So slow hymns is good for pronunciation. Maybe I should sing to you in between these interludes rather than talking. I was joking. I definitely was joking. Right, so something is happening at 7 o'clock. It is now here 18 minutes past 6. So in about 40 minutes, something, I don't know what, but something is happening at 7 o'clock. I've been told to have a camera ready for Caroline. Caroline's going to steal the limelight for a minute and do something. And I swear that I have no idea what. So you'll have to stay tuned until 7 o'clock, 40 minutes time, to see what on earth that's about. Jerry, maybe I should chant in between the hymns, the plain song style, Gregorian chant. So wouldn't that would be a very different virtual church, wouldn't it? A medieval virtual church. Don't get any ideas, please. Okay, hi Tracy, how are you? Whereabouts in the world are you, Tracy? Let me know where in the world you are. Whilst Tracy's letting us all know where she is, and whilst you're getting the idea of me chanting my way through virtual church out of your heads, we're going to have this hymn here, which has been requested by Nick. It is Hail Thou Once Despised Jesus, or should I say despised Jesus. Hail Thou Galilean King. Quite a well-known tune. I think you'll all know the tune Lux Eoi. E-O-I. So there's no other way of pronouncing that, is there? E-O-I. But I think the words don't look as familiar as the tune does. So here we go then. Hail thou once despised Jesus, hail thou Galilean King. Thou didst suffer to release us, thou didst free salvation bring. well-known tune, but those words I didn't necessarily. I don't think I've ever done them actually. This hymn book, Complete Anglican Hymns Old and New. It's a Kevin Mayhew hymn book. It's a rather strange hymn book actually. It's got lots of mistakes in it and some strange words and all of that sort of stuff. Anyway, what it does do is it pairs words with tunes which I'm not familiar with. So this one is Alleluia, Alleluia. That's the best chanting you're going to get from me today. But this is different words. Words are by, I think, John Bakewell, I think. I say I think because I'm not. Arthur Sullivan presumably wrote the music. It doesn't say whether he wrote the music or not. It just says Arthur Sullivan on one side and John Bakewell on the other side, without any clue as to who is who. So I'm going to assume John Bakewell wrote the words. Okay, thank you very much, Nick, for requesting that one. So get your, if you want any organ pieces, thank you very much for your claps, by the way. Rumble, rumble. Have you got a subwoofer in your space? JPBAMA. I do hope you have. And do you know, Rev Jonathan, what time is it where you are right now? What time is it? Let us know, because I think it might be quite very early or very late. It's very, very good of you to tune in. I know you're down under, as it were, but you're going to let us know what time it is. Where we go next? We're going into requests from Katie. Is Katie in the chat? I've not seen Katie's name, but Katie has requested this spiritual. You'll all know it. It's probably not a spiritual. Folk tune, I guess, is more appropriate. It's Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. There we go, Rev Jonathan. Can we all just take a moment to consider the fact that Jonathan is listening in Australia and it is 4:30 in the morning. I think you need to send me a request now, right now, and I'll play whatever you want within reason. That's dedication, that is. So Katie has requested Amazing Grace in memory of her mother. So isn't that quite special? More than happy to play this. Words by John Newton. And here has been harmonised by John Barnard. So Katie, this is especially for you and for your mum. Katie, I'll square with you. I have no idea how many verses I played to you. I was just playing just until I got run out of ideas of registration. Hopefully you had enough verses to enjoy and to remember your mum. I've seen in the chat a couple of times someone's mentioned when morning gilds the skies. Well, luckily enough, that's actually the next hymn. And I'm determined that after this hymn, we are going to have an organ piece. I have no idea what yet. I don't know what we're going to have. That's the good thing about VC is most things are unplanned. Most things are unplanned. So when morning gilds the skies, I need to turn to NEH to find number 473. 473. Let's have a look. This is a great tune. I remember this one from my chorister age. Some hymns just stand out. I don't know why this one does. There's nothing really about it that makes it stand out. Well, apart from it's a good tune, but I don't know why it stands out in my mind specifically, is what I'm trying to say. Henk, this is a request from your good self. So we'll have, how many verses shall we have? 4 verses. There are 8 in here, but half of them are starred, means we'll omit them. So 4 verses of this tune by Joseph Barnby, and the words were German, 19th century, translated by Edward Caswell. Just what you've always wanted to know. Hang on, Caroline's shouting me. One sec. You want both tunes? Oh my gosh, I tell you what. You guys don't want much, do you? You don't want much. You want 2 tunes to hymns, you want organ pieces that I've never played before. Blimey. Okay, well, we can do that, can't we? Let's do... Should we do 2 verses of each? I think that would be all right, wouldn't it? 2 verses of each then. The first tune is not one that I particularly know, so it'll be a learning curve for me. And as you are pointing out, the final words are, may Jesus Christ be praised. Well, if there isn't that what an organ is for in a church? All of this, the pomp and circumstance and all of those glory, his forth in deep tone, when it comes to an organ, isn't that what it's for at the end of the day in a cathedral or a church? To praise Jesus Christ. To proclaim the glory of Jesus Christ. Yes, I think so. Certainly Bach thought so. He wrote all of his music to the glory of God. There was no doubt in that at all. So, thank you very much for your applause. That's very, very kind. Daniel is doing finger snaps. What's a finger snap? like that. That's a click. I don't know. Thank you very much. Amen, Richard. Jane, Rev Jonathan. Are you not asleep yet? Nathaniel, Craig, Daniel, Jerry. Ooh, who's that? Cocky Amiga. I can't pronounce your name. And are you speaking in German? I don't know. Orgel Haas, hello. It's so good to have you. It's so good to see you there. It's just I feel like you're there with me. I just feel like you're just beyond the organ. So it's so wonderful. Come on, we haven't had an organ piece yet. I really want an organ piece, but I don't know what to play. I've got a request from Eddie to play a trumpet voluntary by John Stanley, which I'm happy to do, but I can't do it from memory. So perhaps Caroline could find me the score at some point, and I'll happily play it. In fact, there is a book over here that I might just have it in. I'm having to do this myself. Let's have a look in here. Let's have a look in this cheeky little book. I can tell you that most organists, cathedral organists, would scoff at this book. And I say to them, more fool you for scoffing at this very useful book. Why would they scoff at it? Well, I'll tell you why they'll scoff at it. Because a lot of the pieces in here have been simplified. The Widor Toccata, I think the Widor's Toccata in here actually is a bit naff, if I'm honest. But there's a lot of arrangements in here of orchestral music. I mean, I'm looking at in the G string, Jesu Joy of Men's Desiring, God Be in My Head by Wilfred Davis. A lot of these are by our dear friend Noel Rawsthorne. So some people will think it's beneath them. That's one of the reasons why I came out of cathedral music, because there's a lot of that. This, though, and I think most of you will agree, this is a very good book. And these sorts of pieces are incredibly, incredibly useful for memorial services, for funerals, when you just want to have something very quiet, but something that people will recognise. You don't want to have, a dark piece by Maurice Droufflet or something by Dupré or a Cochereau improvisation at a service where the people of the congregation would never have even heard of it. It's just inappropriate. And I think those sorts of organists are just wrong, to be honest with you. I love this book. I use it a lot. I can tell you use it a lot because it's falling to bits. It's had a lot of use out of it. Now, I've got this book because I think the John Stanley trumpet tune might just be in here. John Stanley trumpet tune has been requested by our favourite Baroque connoisseur, Eddie. Do you know what? I don't even think it is in here. Oh, after all of that. It must be in here. I'm sure it is. No, it's not. It ain't in here, guys, so I'm going to have to wait for Caroline to go and find me the other book, and then we will have it. There was another trumpet tune, but although it will definitely be a tuba tune. Should we have something from here, though? Actually, I want to play something from here. I've got it out now, and I've picked it up. I picked it up so much that there was the piece that I was hoping for isn't even in it. That's a bit annoying. What should we have in it from it? Something uplifting. So I think we're in a good mood today. This weekend is a good weekend. It's a happy, jolly weekend. Google, Jerry Hall. Caroline, does relayed your question. You can probably find a copy of it online at Google. I don't know, to be honest. It might be out of print. Liz Rawsthorne, who is probably watching, will almost certainly know where you can find a copy of it. Oh, I tell you what, let's just go all out, shall we? It's a celebratory weekend, and before people switch off with boredom, I'm going to play this piece by Karg-Elert. You'll all know it. It's very loud. Oh, we got an issue with the organ. We've got a cipher. If I pull out a flute, great. Hopefully that's cleared it. We'll see. Karg-Elert, now thank we all our God. Let's thank all our gods that the organ will hope it doesn't cipher again during this piece. Ah ha ha. Try and clear it. Right, here we go. Let's see what happens. rather slow performance of that piece, simply because you play it at the normal tempo, and the wash of the acoustic will just take everything away. You know, this organ is. I find this organ very exciting, and I love this, the growl that this organ has. But if you play things too quickly, yes, it will become a mess in the wash of the echo. So why not have a little bit of fun? A bit of tuba in that one, indeed.
Said he always plays it too fast and gets into trouble.
Yes, there are some bits, aren't there, which are troublesome. Should we have a little bit of a hymn, shall we? Let's do that. So where are we going to next? Spirits divine attend our prayers. Okay, I think I know this one. 260. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. No, well, I know the tune. The tune's called Billing. It's by Richard Terry. Words are, I'll say some more of the words. It might become more familiar to you. Spirits divine, attend our prayers and make this house thy home. Descend with all thy gracious powers. Overcome, great spirit, come. Daniel Kubaki has requested this. Daniel is one of our very, very regular listeners. Daniel is the sort of person who would come to a church service and would always go to the same seat. I bet you. He's there all the time. So it's wonderful to see familiar names in the chat. Daniel, no, you're welcome. Thank you very much for. Oh, you've removed your. Oh, I saw it. Well, we got what you said. You said thank you, and I'm saying thank you to you. Morris, are we at Doodlelange? No, we are not. What does it say on the screen? It says something on the screen which might give you a clue as to our location. Henk, are you going? Where are you off to? Hope you return. Okay, let's have a go with this hymn. Luckily, the volume can be taken down, so you can turn up your speakers, your headphones, your hi-fi. So I won't be playing this one too loud. I'll explore some of the mutations and possibly the clarinet as well. So here we go. Spirit divine, attend our prayers. Thank you very, very much, Daniel, for allowing me just to tone the volume down a bit. I think this organ does do quiet very nicely indeed. It has some very beautiful flute stops and some very beautiful mutations, and also the strings on the swell division are particularly beautiful. Actually, it was the clarinet. I think it was a cromorn, the cromorno on the choir division. It's a clarinet, basically, down the octave. Maurice, yes, you know, Uncle. Why did you call me Uncle Richard? Dudelange has a very unique sound. I think it sounds very continental compared to this one.
Hello.
What's going on here?
Well, hello, Richard.
Hello.
Now, where do I stand?
Where do you stand?
Where do I face?
This is your.
Oh, this is me.
Richard might have to press a button though.
Right.
Oh well, I've got it all set up for Caroline. It keeps a bit higher than Carol. Higher.
I couldn't tell you that, could I?
Well, no. Okay. Well, what? So that's the camera. That's set up for Caroline, but.
This is Keith Nightingale, who is one of our community. He needs no introduction really. He's in the chat often. He's also a friend of ours personally, as a former singer of one of Richard's church choirs. And Keith has got something to give to Richard, I believe.
Well, I'm sorry I'm facing away from you, Richard.
It's okay.
Because I should be talking to you, but I can.
This is what the viewers are seeing, look, Keith.
Right. Okay. Well, I can see you in the mirror, so.
You move slightly that way. That's it.
There we are.
There you are.
Don't overthink it, Keith. I don't. Just go with it.
Right. Well, for those of you who were expecting to see Caroline more than this, I apologise that it's me, but I am here for a very special reason. And Richard, I'm going to have to look at you over there in the mirror. 20 months ago, many of us will remember that the pandemic started as a global issue, and none of us were expecting that to happen and for it to devastate our lives in the way that it did. Not only did it keep us all apart from each other, but for many of us it stopped us going to church, stopped us worshipping, stopped us singing. And at that point, a long time ago, bless you, Richard, you were an absolute godsend. You started virtual church, which eventually was supporting up to about 400 of us. Am I in the right place? Yeah. About 400 of us, and thousands following on afterwards. And it was something that we looked forward to for all week, so that we could come together, have the beautiful church music and worship. So you were a godsend. Some time ago, months ago in fact, Liz Rawsthorne sent me an email. Okay. And she said that, like a number of people on the chat, it would be lovely if we could have an official recognition of what you had done for us. So we started to put some stuff together and apply for official recognition, which unfortunately didn't happen. We were unsuccessful. But for all who had contributed towards this project that we were trying to work to, we all agreed that it would be an awful shame for everything to be lost that had been prepared. And so rather than just see it all go to waste, Lorna very kindly collated letters of support, citations that were written, added a few photos of places that you would recognise, very familiar to you, yeah, and produced a lovely book. She's done a wonderful job. So I've come to present the book to you this evening on behalf of BIS community. It was Liz who suggested it, Liz who supported us in that, and Liz who encouraged us. So very grateful to Liz for getting the thought started. Before I do anything with the book, I would just like to say, Caroline, we are very grateful to you for all that you have done in the background, all you do in the background. And Lorna has Lorna has some flowers for you as a small token of our appreciation. Can I
Thank you
move
very
over?
much.
And
Hugo will accept them graciously, won't you, Hugo? He's got his rattle.
oh, well, there we
His
go.
rattle.
This comes with all our love and thanks.
Oh, no, they're beautiful. Look at those. Look at those. Beautiful
Thank you.
flowers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very
Here we are. Is your rattle back again?
So we haven't got any flowers on the organ at the minute,
Hugo's
have
going to
we?
eat them now.
That's very
Thank you
kind.
so much. Thank you very much indeed.
I just realised I should have... No, wrong side, that's it.
It's confusing, isn't it, Keith? I know.
I should have brought something for Hugo, and certainly treats for the cats, to thank them for the entertainment they've given us in the past as well. Richard, before I give this to you, if I may, I want to read the introduction to this, and then I'll pass this over. But this is for everyone who perhaps has joined us more recently in the community of beauty and sound, just to let you know where we are and what's been done. So the introduction says, this book is presented to Richard McVeigh as an indication of appreciation to him for all he has done since the very beginning of lockdown due to COVID, in providing us with a form of worship and beautiful music when all churches were closed and we could no longer worship together and sing. These letters from a few of the patrons and several citations were sent to the UK Government Department dealing with applications for inclusion in the Queen's Birthday Honours List. But with all that was required in preparation, the application probably arrived too late for consideration. Even without such general public recognition, however, in our eyes, Richard is a star and has received thousands of messages of appreciation, admiration, gratitude and support, both in the chat line and in separate communications. To us, Richard is Knight of the Organ, Maestro of Beauty in Sound, Leader of Virtual Church and King of the Keyboard. And so to Richard, to Caroline and latterly to little Hugo, from your global community come love, loyalty and wonder and amazement at all you have offered and achieved on our behalf. From your Patreons, subscribers and all supporters, Richard McVeigh, KO, MBIS, LVC, KKB, thank you, and may you play forever. And if you listen very carefully, you might just hear a rapturous standing ovation from around the globe from your BIS community.
Well, thank you very much indeed. And can you see that there? That's a picture of, you'll recognise that organ, of course, that's Rotterdam, and on the back is a picture of the three of us. Keith, that's very kind, and thank you. Oh wow, it's full of, it's actually full of letters from people.
It is, there are
Oh look.
There are 8 letters and 3 citations that were required for the application.
That's fantastic. Really, I don't know what to say. Yes, thank you very much. And thank you, Lorna. Thanks for coming into Virtual Church. I'm really flattered and genuinely surprised.
I hope you enjoy reading it.
I had no idea what was going on today. And I'll just put it back on that camera. I thought Caroline was going to just ask me to play something or do something at 7 o'clock. I had no idea that this was going to happen. Now look, I might be the maestro of BIS, all those other things that you said. We'll see about that one. But I wouldn't be doing this without people who are watching and people like yourself. Without the community, we wouldn't be here today, and I wouldn't be doing this. So it's actually it's a two-way thing. I feel like I'm here providing the music, but the community is what makes it so special, I think. So I am very grateful indeed. I look forward to reading this later with a glass or two of something wet to see what you've all said. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's very kind. Where do we go now? What's next on the menu?
Roger's requested the hymn Westminster Abbey, which is quite rousing. Or you could play Eddie's Stanley, because I eventually found a wedding music book.
Well, let's go into is it number 205 in the NEH? I think it might be. Look at that, straight to it. Christ has made the sure foundation. Westminster Abbey. Keith and Lorna Nightingale are both members of the community, as you all know. Roger Nightingale is Keith's brother. Well, look, all those donations as well. That's very kind. Well, let me just get my head into gear, my fingers into the rightful positions, which they rarely are, and I will play a couple of ditties for you. We'll play Eddie King's hymn, which is number, I don't know, I'm telling you what number it is. It's page 48 in this book. It's a John Stanley Trumpet voluntary. I'll try to play it. This one's quite fiddly, actually. And then we'll have, no, before that, we will have, no, let's have the Trumpet voluntary first, and then we'll go into a rousing rendition of Westminster Abbey. I'll try to focus. Whew. Right, here we go. Well, I'm still quite taken aback by all of that. I still don't quite know what to say about it all. So that was Roger Nightingale, Keith's brother, specifically requested that tune, and you've had that. It was Roger who, sorry? Roger Richards. Sorry, Roger Nightingale, I've given you some false praise there, although you deserve lots of praise for many other reasons. Roger Richards requested Westminster Abbey, and it really is a terrific hymn indeed, words and music. You know, it was written by Henry. The reason it's called Westminster Abbey is because it was written by Henry Purcell whilst he was the organist at Westminster Abbey, and he wrote the music as we know it as part of a bigger anthem, "O God, Thou art my God," which ends with the word Alleluia, Alleluia. It repeats over and over again to that tune, and he repeats a final line, which is why I played the final line twice in the final verse. Right, let's go on to, let's catch our breath and let's go on. We've still got some members of the BIS community here. We should have some live singing. Both Lorna and Keith are both very accomplished singers. Thank you very much, guys, for your donations. I missed them. I was elsewhere. So, but thank you for those. I'll have to have a look back later on to see who has been very kind and supported. Right, so time, just where we're going to go. We're actually going to stick in NEH for a moment, and we're going to have a wonderful tune which has come in, requested live in the chat just now, called Jerusalem the Golden. I need to find the tune. It's number 381. This is one of my favourite hymns. It's in a wonderful key, D flat major, and it has a really high note, particularly for you bassers amongst you. It's particularly high. Jerusalem the Golden with milk and honey blessed was requested moments ago in the chat by Story Angel. And then we've actually got a request from Barry as well. Barry's requested a really, really good wedding hymn, Praise My Soul, the King of Heaven. So what we'll do is we'll have, which is 436, I know that, in NEH. We'll have these two hymns back to back. So starting with Jerusalem the Golden. that reharmonisation there by dear Noel really is one of, it has Noel Rawsthorne written all over it with those seventh chords. It's great fun. It was written in there in D, so luckily it didn't stray too far from the key of D major, because transposing it from D to D flat is actually very, very straightforward indeed, providing it doesn't go too far. And sometimes Noel does go very far. Let's go on to the next one. I did say we'll go into this next hymn from Barry. It's Praise My Soul, the King of You Know Where. You just have to bear with me a second whilst I just make a quick affix to the organ. Oh, we're going to have to go back in verse 2, aren't we, with those beautiful flutes. The wretched organ keeps doing that. I don't know why. Let me just do that. This should temporarily fix it at least until it doesn't next time. So get those flutes back on and we'll carry on. Yes, carry on from where we got to. Verse 2. I think you're right. I think the organ actually has gotten wind that its days as the star of virtual church are numbered, and it's trying to leave its mark. Well, it certainly is doing that, isn't it? Thank you very much, Sam. That's very kind. Actually, I think there's a descant to the final verse of that, which I've seen or heard somewhere. It's not in there. It might be in another hymn book down there, but it does something quite similar. Okay, now we need to play something quiet, I think. To give the organ a little bit of a break. It's probably saying, go easy on me, go easy on me. Now, apparently there is some paper. Here's the bit of paper. And on the paper should be a hymn called Behold a Host Arrayed in White. Yes, there it is. Behold a host arrayed in white. Like 1,000 snow-clad mountains bright, with palms they stand. Who is this band before the throne of light? Lo, these are they of glorious fame. And it goes on. 3 verses of this. Don't know it at all. So who's requested this one? It's Mark. No, it's not. It's Dennis. Dennis, well, thank you very much. Barry, wow. That's amazing. Thank you very much indeed. Some of you would have seen on the community post thing that I occasionally put on a picture of a subwoofer. The sub is actually in the garage behind the Peugeot 106 GTI, which some of you got, the yellow one, the yellow Peril. It's waiting in the wings to be paired with the new organ. You know, a new fancy organ deserves, I think we've all agreed that we need to get a new computer to make sure we don't have any glitches. But we also need to make sure that the audio is as good as the organ looks. So we'll probably use these speakers that we have here. Jerry, I think you and Maurice possibly, and a few other people who use Halbert might find this interesting, no one else will. I'll probably use these speakers that I've got now for the direct sound, and then have them quite close to the console. And then I need to get some new speakers. The floor, some of you on Facebook would have seen me asking this question about getting some new floor standing speakers to provide the richness and some of the acoustic as well, which will probably go in the corners. Subwoofer will go somewhere as well. The good news is the subwoofer is powerful enough and designed to authentically replicate the lowest note on a 32-foot pitch pipe. So you won't be hearing harmonics it won't make any difference to you at all. But if you come to Keith and Lorna, it will make an amazing difference. It will be able to produce that 32-foot properly, which I can't wait to plug that in. So the point of all that, Barry, your generous donation, and everyone else who has donated, after, we need to sort of live a little bit as well. We need to buy some food occasionally. We need to look at some new speakers for this room. Shall we go on to this next hymn? So behold a host arrayed in white. Apparently it's a Norwegian folk tune. Don't think I know it at all. So I'm hearing it for the first time along with you guys. Well, I'm so glad that that was familiar to a lot of you in the chat listening. So it's not one I'd heard at all. It was just one of those occasions, which is quite rare these days, to be given a hymn that I've never heard before. I've heard most of them. So that was one of them. So thank you very much for requesting that one. I think we've got to the end of the hymns on this bit of paper here. So are we going to just hand it over to the live audience to see where we go next? Well, I've got a hymn book here. I've got a couple of hymn books here. So if somebody makes me a request for a hymn, make sure that make it one that you probably know that we'll have access to, and we'll play it. Keith and Lorna have just provided me with a great, a wonderful occasion, a wonderful.
Did you play Lead Kindly Light from Mark?
I haven't played that one yet.
He's actually had to go though, so if you want to play a more rousing hymn, we can play it from next week.
I'll play that next week, shall I?
I think Keith put in a vote for Blind then.
Did he?
Yes.
Okay, well we'll have that one. So we have 408. As I was saying, thank you for interrupting. What would Simon Mayo say about all that? As I was saying, Keith and Lorna just pretty much embarrassed me to high heaven. I didn't quite know what to say. Really surprising and really appreciated. But I'll get my own back a little bit. I've known Keith and Lorna for a while, long before BIS became a thing, and before they become part of the community. They sang in a church choir that I used to conduct, not too far from where I live. And I'd been conducting this choir for maybe a year or so, a couple of years. And we were literally about to do a performance, the rehearsal for a performance of, I don't know whether performance is the right word, of the Crucifixion by John Stainer. It was a Good Friday. We always used to do it on Good Friday. And it was always very moving, always very well attended. And we'd always get soloists in to come and sing the tenor and the bass bits, and a good organist to come and play it. And this one rehearsal, getting everything ready, the choir were in place on in the choir stalls, and one of the sopranos came up to me and rather sheepishly, she's very good at being sheepish, said, I've got some friends who want to join the choir. Can they come and sing today? So they imagine the scene, a conductor of a choir being presented, put on the spot by one of the sopranos, saying basically, and Keith and Lorna were stood right behind me, or behind the soprano, looking longingly, wanting to come and sing this piece by John Stainer. And I had no option than to say yes, of course, even though in my head I was thinking, who are these people? Can they sing in tune? Have they even ever heard of John Stainer? But I was assured that they could sing, and they both knew the John Stainer, so I said yes. And I'm very glad that they came along on that day, because from that moment on a friendship was formed, and Keith and Lorna were both great assets to the choir. So things happen in very strange ways, don't they? Okay, so Keith and Daniel have requested this hymn here. It's Love Divine and Love's Excelling. I think you know it's my favourite. I think I played it in Truro, and I will play it for you now. Don't need Noel Rawsthorne for this one, I'm afraid. I'll just do my own thing. That's a rather good tune, that, isn't it? It's a rather good tune, isn't it? Where are we going next then, guys? Yes, Sam, I think actually, I wonder whether this tuba, if I pull out the tuba... No, for some reason, my choir octaves that I've set up on my launchpad don't affect the tuba, unfortunately. So we've only got it at 8 foot rather than 4 and 16 as well.
I'm just getting you the next one. I was just going to have one more choir to him before finishing with a bang.
Right.
It's for Nick, and I think I missed his request earlier. It was his late wife's favourite hymn.
Okay.
It's Brother, Sister, Let Me Serve You.
Oh yes.
There we go. It's just there behind you.
Okay, this is for Nick, and for Nick's late wife. Brother, sister, let me serve you. Let me be as Christ to you. Pray that I may have the grace to let you be my servant too. It's called The Servant Song by Richard Gillard. 6 verses of this. Okay, here we go. Wonderful hymn that, sung that, played that a few times. Out in the real world, it always conjures up emotion, doesn't it, that one? Beautiful tune. Okay, so what are you talking about now? You're talking about reeds. Well, what about the Royal Trumpet of St Paul's? They're fairly unbelievably loud, aren't they? Do you know they were instated for one of the anniversaries of the Queen, our current Queen, by Christopher Darnley. I think Christopher Darnley had them installed. And the Queen in procession, when you have a big state service and lots of pomp, lots of circumstance, lots of people, lots of music, lots of procession, you have the royal family arriving, and the Queen is always the last person to arrive. And this occasion in St Paul's, all of the dignitaries had arrived, the VIPs, members of the royal family had arrived, they were all in their seats, and the Queen was at the back of the church with the Prince of Edinburgh, and the organist brought on the royal trumpets for the first time. They were brand new, the first time the Queen had ever heard them. They're called the royal trumpets because they were installed for the Queen. The Queen heard them and said at that moment she never wants to hear them ever again because they were so loud. So they're not used anymore for when the Queen's there. They're strictly off limits. So they're rather loud. The tuba moralibus at Liverpool Cathedral is excessively loud. So is a tuba magna. Liz, you'll know all about that sort of stuff. You'd have heard it many times. The tuba moralibus at Liverpool probably is louder than the one at York. I don't know that. The chamades, the bombards at Westminster Abbey are fairly extraordinary. There's lots of places here in England with reeds which will give these the St John's reeds a run for their money. But they are rather spectacular. I know I've heard them online. So Sam, he's talking about wind pressures now. Sam has also asked for this hymn, Gwitting Power, Christ triumphant, ever reigning, Saviour, Master, King, Lord of heaven, our lives sustaining, hear us as we sing yours the glory and the crown, the high renown, the eternal name. This is our final hymn, and then we'll have our voluntaries tonight. It's always plural, because I know you don't like to be shortchanged. So we'll have the voluntaries after this final hymn. final verse there had a descant. You probably wouldn't have heard it from all that was going on, but there was actually a descant going on. I was playing the descant, which the sopranos should have been singing. They would have been singing it if they were in my choir. Well, let's go into voluntaries, shall we now? Now, I'm tempted actually to have something a bit different to what's on the screen. I'm tempted, I'm really, really tempted just to do something different. Would you sack me? Would you sack me? I hope you won't sack me. I'm going to play a couple of pieces. Rawsthorne, you know what's coming up in a moment. But before we get there, I'm just in the mood for something else. Let's just see what this particular piece sounds like on this particular organ. I'm very grateful for all of your donations and for those people who have contributed to this. I can't wait to read this later on. Richard McVeigh, an appreciation. Well, well, let's see. Also, it's good how the picture of Rotterdam has been chosen. There is Rotterdam. You can see the similarity between the two. It's the same organ. Right, let's go into this piece. You might know it, you might not know it, but if you don't know it, you might enjoy it. And we'll have just one more little ditty, which if you were listening last night to the organ album that I did in honour of Francis Jackson, this was included last night. This is called Fanfare for Francis, and the good news is it requires lots of tuba. I don't know whether I can get a tuba plus the octave. I can't too easily, so I have to make do with just an 8-foot tuba. Here we go. This is by Noel Rawsthorne. It's called Fanfare for Francis, with lots of tuba. Well, there you go. That was a little ditty called Fanfare for Francis. There it is. Francis Jackson, that is, not Francis Williams. There is a Francis Williams in the chat, although that could be your fanfare as well, Francis. If you want to listen to another performance of that on a different organ with a louder tuba plus a chamade, go and listen to last night's concert that I gave in honour of Francis Jackson. It's on the wonderful, very exciting and versatile organ of Dudelange. Sounds fantastic on that organ. Thank you all very much for today. Thank you very much for your generosity in this book, and thank you for your contributions in the chat as well. I've missed quite a few donations. I'll have to have a look back and to see who has donated. It's very, very generous of you indeed. It's been a really wonderful, gosh, how long did Keith say it was? 20 months since we started doing virtual church. Those people, I wonder if anyone is here today who was with us very, very early on, even before it was called virtual church. Do you remember what it was called? It was just simply called Live Hymn Requests. Catchy, isn't it? Very catchy. It does what it says on the tin. That's basically what it was. Yes. So we were doing that even before COVID. So then COVID happened, and then we got into a sort of a rhythm, and a regular routine of doing it. And it's been a really wonderful journey, a really wonderful 20 or so months. All I can say is that here's to the next 20 or so months. With the new organ, I really do think that will transform the channel for the much better. We'll have more stops to play with. I'll be able to use more organs. I won't bore you with why, because that's very, very boring indeed. But just believe me, I will be able to use more organs. Have people playing it, so people giving recitals. I've already got the inaugural recital list booked. I'll announce that very soon. The Patreons, you all know who it is already. So things like that, it's going to be wonderful. And having the new organ and all of the sort of stuff that goes with BIS is only thanks to you. So thank you very much, everyone, for all of your generosity and for coming with me on this journey. And Hugo is very grateful as well. There we go. Hugo is the next Cameron Carpenter in the making. Hugo.
Flashing shirts going on there.
Yes, indeed. Hugo wants to play a quick tune, so Hugo has pulled out he's gone for the trumpet and the clarinet on the choir. Now those two stops don't balance. It's not me, it's Hugo. Come on, you, shush. If you're going to do it on the quiet strings. Here we go, have the strings. There is spooky stuff. Right, so whilst Hugo is working on his technique, I will say a very fond cheerio to you all. And got his foot stuck. Oh, he's gone for the tuba. No. Oh, clarinet. Oh, it's all gone wrong. Oh, it's gone tuba again. He's got his toe on the divisional 6, which brings out the tuba. That's why. He knows. There we go, the strings. I'm going to go before it all goes horribly wrong. Good night, everyone. Take care and stay safe. Bye-bye, everyone.